Hi, I'm Jan.
And I'm Tracy, and we recently completed a cruise on the NCL Prima.
Now, we believe that cruising is a personal experience, and different people can have different perspectives and experiences even on the very same cruise.
So these are just our observations and thoughts of our cruise.
Now, we're going to be looking at some specific categories, and then we're going to talk about the 3 things we love most and the 3 things we thought could have been done a little bit better.
So the categories that we're going to be looking at is the ship, our cabin, the service, the food, and the entertainment.
So let's start with the general impressions of the ship.
So there is no other cruise line which we have sailed on as many times as NCL. We have sailed several times in the getaway class ships with its waterfront promenade deck.
Yeah, we love the waterfront, and so that's the reason why when NCL was launching the Prima class ships with that expanded promenade deck called the Ocean Boulevard, we knew that the Prima was the ship we most wanted to sail on after the pandemic.
So the difference between the Prima and other NCL ships is they are now moving from bigger back to smaller, and they are going to a passenger capacity of 3,000 people. But while it wasn't bigger, was it better?
Now, well, we did love the Ocean Boulevard. The Ocean Boulevard, once again, is a wraparound promenade, but it's even more expanded. You have infinity pools on either side of the ship. You have a lot of nice space there. You have art. It just is a really nice place to relax. And while the atrium seems more like a lobby of a nice convention center, we really did like the modern design of the ship. Very kind of contemporary styling, which we really did like.
But honestly, I found the layout of the ship to be incredibly awkward. It was hard to navigate, and too many of the spaces were way too small, which made them seem very, very crowded and far too loud for me.
Yeah, an example of that was the first night we went to play trivia in the atrium bar, and quite frankly, we left halfway through because we simply could not hear the questions. It was, and if you're going to play trivia or do anything like that, you have to listen. You can't because everything is so loud. It's just not fun. And another place that wasn't fun was the Commodore main dining room. As we'll talk about in a second, it was just way too small and way too loud. It was not a very nice experience at all.
And so speaking of these small venues, I guess NCL had this idea to make them small and intimate, and that was supposed to make it better. So 2 areas that we thought were way too small was the Improv and the Sid Norman's Poorhouse. And we'll talk about that more later during entertainment.
Yeah, now while they are way too small, some other spaces we didn't quite understand, such as the Metropolitan Bar, which was very large and it was quite frankly was underutilized. It seemed like there wasn't very many people there anytime we went through. So I think that it isn't a matter that the ship is too small. It's just how they allocated space was not quite right.
But the one area that they hit it out of the park, it was the spa. But we'll talk about that more in detail later.
Now, another thing we loved about the ship was our room. We had a standard balcony cabin. It was really nicely decorated, very modern. It was not a bad size, about 186 square feet and a nice sized balcony.
They did have a queen size bed. I'll tell you, it was not comfortable for me. It was way too firm. The mattress was hard. And we asked for a mattress topper, and that's what we usually do when the mattress is not doable. They were completely taken up. Now, they did have a nice size bathroom, and there was plenty of counter space, though.
Yeah, and by the way, the fact that all the mattress toppers were gone probably is an indicator that we weren't the only ones that thought that the mattresses were too firm. Now, another thing that I liked about the room is it had a really nice size amount of closet space. We liked the balcony, but the balcony table, although it was nice to be able to put a cocktail or a coffee on in the morning, it was too small to be able to do any type of room service. Now, the good news is we have a room tour. You can watch it. I think it's going to be up here. Otherwise, it's going to be above Tracy. A link that you can go and watch our room tour. You get all the information about our room.
So let's talk about the service. On our particular cruise, I'm going to say it was disappointing. And one of the things that has happened that NCL's done that we don't really agree with is they have cut their cleanings down to 1 time a day. Don't have a problem with having twice a day cleanings, but then after they cut the cleanings down to 1 time a day, then they turn around and raise the gratuities by 20%. Not cool, NCL.
No, it's not cool, but I'll tell you, at the time, Tracy and I didn't think much of it. I mean, do we really need to have 2 cleanings? We didn't think it was the case. And quite frankly I don't think we need 2 cleanings. However, what we didn't realize is because that the room steward is only going to clean our room once, he or she are cleaning twice as many rooms. And what that meant was there were several days that we would not have our room cleaned until after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And if you're getting ready to go and do another activity, or you're coming back from an excursion, it's always nice to have that room cleaned, and that wasn't the case, as that really took away. And I know it's a small thing, but to us, we're paying for that cruise experience, and that wasn't something that we got on the Prima for this cruise.
And the other thing is because they did cut down the cleanings down to once a day, it also took away half the opportunities for us to get to meet our room steward. And that's one of the things we do like to do, is get to know our room steward, find out a little bit about them. This time, there was just no time because he probably had 40 or 50 rooms to clean that day.
Yeah, he worked his tail off, and he was really nice. When we did get to meet him, he was really nice. And oh, by the way, the rest of the staff and the crew on the Prima was exactly as you expect on NCL. They were helpful and energetic, and it was just the type of great service we always love. It was just the programming of just going to one service a day really took away from the service. So that was the service. Let's talk about the food, which also was a bit of a mixed bag.
So starting with the complimentary dining, main dining room, the one that we tried more than any was the Hudson's. We tried it for lunch, we tried it for dinner, and both times they were not really good. Something was just off on this particular cruise. They did have a really good breakfast. So if you are looking for a breakfast and you're not going into port, that is a great way to spend a breakfast. Hudson had solid breakfast, and the servers were excellent.
Yeah, another thing I do like about Hudson's was this was a restaurant that goes all the way around the back and have these beautiful windows. It really is a beautiful place. But then you have the Commodore, which I already talked about, which is the other main dining room. The the Commodore rather, was half the size. And because it was so small and they put so many tables in, it was loud and it was way too crowded. And even if the food was better, and it wasn't, than what we had in Hudson's, it wouldn't have been for us a nice experience to be able to have dinner.
So another complimentary dining area we tried was Locals, or Oceans on other NCL cruise lines. The food was good, but the service can be slow, especially if you were there during peak time.
Yeah, now another place that's complimentary is the Indulge Food Hall, which is new, at least to NCL for the Prima. And I like this concept. What you have is a bunch of other basically small, think about it like food trucks or food stalls in there, lots of different, everything from Indian to noodles to barbecue. And now the food itself, there's always some really good things or some things we didn't like, but it was so easy that all you had to do was, if you didn't like something, just order something else. And there's enough there that it's really, really good. So once you kind of realize what is good and what you really is to your palate is great. One of the issues though with it is if you're going there for lunch at peak time at lunch, it's very, very difficult to get a table. However, because Commodore was so bad, we actually went and had late dinner at the Indulge Food Hall in the evenings. It's actually no one there. I mean, it's actually a very intimate, nice place to have dinner as an alternative to going to the main dining rooms.
So, well, the complimentary dining, I would say, was a mixed bag. We were really pleased with nearly all of the specialty dining that we did get to try on the Prima.
Yeah, no, we actually tried 5 different places. And the reason is because we had the free at sea package, which gave us 2 dinners. And then we are platinum on NCL, so we got another 2 dinners. And as you're going to hear, we paid for a 5th specialty dining experience on our own dime.
First of all, we started out at Cagney's, and that is the NCL Steakhouse, and it is one of our favorite restaurants when we do on any cruise line. And this time, as in the times past, the steaks did not disappoint. Everything was good. The cuts of meat were delicious. Everything was perfectly seasoned, and it was cooked at the right temperature.
Yeah, and I love steaks, and yeah, it was some of the best steaks we've had at sea. Unfortunately, they had put so many tables in this small space that it took away from the atmosphere. You felt like you had to start up a conversation with someone next to you because it was like joining them for dinner. And also, once again, it made the space a little bit too loud.
The second specialty restaurant we tried, and we always enjoy on NCL, is the French restaurant Le Bistro.
Now, this is exactly what we expect of a specialty restaurant on a cruise ship to be. It truly is an elegant space, and they had these huge chandeliers that literally went from the ceiling all the way down to the floor that split up the room, and the tables are spaced out, which created the really intimate space to have dinner as a couple.
And the food was fantastic. Unfortunately, since pandemic has passed by, food across the board on the cruise lines has left us a little bit disappointed, and it seems that everything has been much of a step down. Le Bistro, however, has given us the hope that things are coming back and back on track of the way that they used to be. Delicious.
Now, as much as we love Le Bistro, quite frankly, our dinner on the Prima's seafood restaurant, which is Palomar, was the best of the entire cruise, and quite frankly, one of the best dinners we've had on any cruise ship, to include some of the premium and luxury lines we've been on.
And the space is intimate. It's there with tables right by these huge windows. The service was friendly. It was attentive. They were engaging. They weren't pretentious, and the food was exceptional.
And we also went to Ondo, which is our next specialty restaurant we tried. It wasn't very crowded, it had a nice atmosphere, and the food was absolutely solid.
Now, the food itself was solid. It's just not, we just don't prefer Italian food. However, if you do like Italian and Mediterranean food, Ondo is not going to disappoint.
Yeah, because disappointment is the job of the fourth specialty restaurant we tried, and that was Food Republic. Now, Food Republic is Prima's fusion Asian restaurant, and we love Asian food. I lived in Korea for 2 years. However, quite frankly, the Food Republic was the very worst specialty restaurant I have ever had on any cruise, and is pretty much one of the worst meals I've had in any restaurant. It was horrible. The service was lackluster at best, but really the food itself was just, quite frankly, inedible. Pork belly. We had the pork belly. I love pork belly. I didn't think you could screw up pork belly. They succeeded. The outside of the pork belly was so hard and barky that you couldn't eat it. The inside was mushy.
I would not eat this. I would not order this. I would not give this to any pets that I own.
Their sushi came to us. It didn't seem like it was fresh. Everything about that meal was absolutely ridiculously bad. And this surprised us because some of the biggest cruise creators that are on YouTube rave about the Food Republic. And I will never go to a Food Republic, at least on this ship. Maybe it's better on other ships. Maybe this was that one night on the Prima where everything that could go wrong went wrong, but it was absolutely inedible. We left without finishing our meal.
In fact, because we didn't finish our meal at the Food Republic, it was kind of a good thing because it did give us the opportunity to finish dinner at Nama Sushi and Sashimi, which was really good. The atmosphere was casual and it was unpretentious. The sushi was fresh. It was amazing. And more than that, this was the one specialty restaurant that we paid for ourselves, and we found that the pricing to be quite reasonable for the dinner for the two of us.
So if you want Asian, don't go to the Food Republic, go to Nama instead, because you're going to have much, much better sushi. Now, along with the food, one of the things we've always looked forward to on an NCL cruise is the entertainment.
And the performances that we had during that week was Donna Summer's musical. And it was in the theater, and it was exactly what we expected. It was very, very well produced, exceptional talent, and it was fully entertaining to us.
Yeah, but one of the problems we see that NCL has cut costs, and we've always looked at looking forward to two main theater shows. In fact, NCL is one of the few lines that we always make a point of trying to go see the shows because we've always enjoyed them. And Donna Summer's was fantastic. But now what's happened is NCL has cut down to just one show on a 7-day cruise. And in its place, they put some game shows, which we just don't find very engaging. It's just very disappointing that NCL has kind of taken that away from the cruise experience on their ships.
Now, one of the things that we did like was the Fleetwood Mac show. It was a tribute band, and it was in a fantastic production, but it was in Sid's Poorhouse. Remember, I had told you that it's really small and crowded. So for me, to be able to go to to Fleetwood Mac, we had to leave dinner early. We stood in line for over an hour.
Yeah.
And then by the time we got there an hour early, there was already 50 or 60 people standing in line for a venue that takes no more than 85, maybe 100 people. And at that point, we tried to get 2 seats. We could only get 1. The show was fantastic, but again, this idea that if you make a venue smaller, that less people are going to show up, that was faulty logic on NCL's part. They do have a huge casino, but we don't gamble, so it was kind of a non-starter for us.
Yeah, we don't gamble. We just in love. But what we did like about the casino was, you know, it is a casino that many times you have to walk through to be able to get from one portion of the ship to the other. But what we loved is that portion of the casino is non-smoking. Now, they do have another area of the casino that is smoking that's closed off, but because it's closed off, you don't smell it. It really wasn't bothersome. So it takes away the one thing that we don't like about casinos sometimes. It really wasn't an issue. Now, there is a lot of other things you can go do. There is a outside area with a bunch of games you can play, and plus there is lots of paid-for entertainment. The Galaxy Arcade looks like it's just a fantastic place to go to. I would have loved to do that as a kid. You have mini golf, which is really neat, a really interesting place to go play darts. All this is computerized. All this is for a fee, however, you have to pay for it. And then, of course, you have the go-karts, which I think is 3 different layers, which really would like to go on.
We did love the Ocean Boulevard, and we love the infinity pools on both sides of the ship. It did get very, very busy during the sea days, but during the port days, it wasn't crowded at all. The problem is there is one main pool, and it's a small main pool. So 3,000 people trying to get into one pool just wasn't working. And again, this was one of those things that NCL, I think that they missed the mark.
Yeah, no, the water slides are free. We went on them several times. They are absolutely fun. And then there is the Vibe Club. Now, Vibe is that private sanctuary, not the Haven, but have a private, basically pool area that we actually always love. We've done that on other NCL ships. However, we felt that the pass prices for this cruise was a little bit too expensive. Plus, all the passes were already gone by the time we were able to get around to asking about it on the day of embarkation. So here's a tip. If you want to do the Vibe, and that's something you want to do, is purchase a Vibe pass, then you pretty much need to go there straight as once you get onto the ship, because they do go out, they do run out very quickly.
So now the place that NCL Prima did get it right is their thermal spa. I have to say this is one of the nicest thermal spas we have been on any ship. It had several types of sauna. It had like charcoal sauna, it had infrared sauna, it had hot sauna, and it had Finnish sauna. It had a nice wave pool, like a float area, and then it had a really nice relaxing area, or a solarium area. Did not have the cold plunge, did not have a cold plunge area, but it was really, really nice. And it was quite a big part of the ship. The one thing that we did notice is where it is placed, it's right below the gym. So you could hear people dropping weights when you were in the kind of rest area. So that was kind of it is what it is. It did come with an additional fee. So this was a whopping $350 per person per week. We always try out the saunas or the spa, and so we knew we were going to pay it, but geez, that's a lot of money for, you know, for extra relaxation.
Yeah, and the nice thing is all the saunas and the steam rooms and everything are co-ed, because that is something like we do together, but that meant that was a $700 bill, which was, it's worth it because we enjoy it, but understand what the price is there.
So that is our views on the ships, the room, the service, the food, and the entertainment.
All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the 3 things we like most and the 3 things we didn't like as much. And we're going to start with those 3 things that we didn't like very much. And the first thing is the food, not the specialty restaurants. We're going to talk about that in a second with Tracy, but the main dining restaurants. It was just, they were bad. I did not enjoy the meals there at all. The second thing is, as you probably figured out by now, the ship design. It's a little bit awkward to be able to move from place to place, and the venues they have are just too small and too noisy really to be enjoyable. And the third thing was, although the service was absolutely fantastic, the problem was cutting down to 1 cleaning a day when you're basically not having a clean room until 4 o'clock on several days out of the cruise. That, quite frankly, I think that's a no-starter.
So talking about the top 3 things we liked, number 1, bar none, the spa. The spa was fantastic. It's expensive, but it was wonderful. The second thing we like is the Ocean Boulevard. It's a neat concept, a lot of great places to sit and enjoy and relax outside outside and inside. And the number 3 thing that we really liked was we are renewed in our hope of specialty dining. For the most part, the specialty dining was outstanding.
Yeah, everything but the Food Republic. Every one of the places was fantastic. Food Republic, don't go onto it on the Prima. Now, as we said at the beginning of the review, we have more cruises on NCL than any other line. In fact, since going on Prima, we have booked 2 more Norwegian cruises that are coming up very quick. But we don't know if the Prima really is the ship for us.
So who would this ship be for? We think that this is a perfect cruise for families. So if your kids like those things like the go-karts and the Galaxy Theater and the arcade and the virtual rooms, these are the cool things that you can do. However, these are deals that you have to pay for extra, so that can add up. But these are things that you can purchase on board, so you and your kids can use these throughout the entire cruise.
Now, yeah, if we still had kids at home, we would be on the ship. But we don't think it's the right cruise ship right now. Not until the prices of the Prima come down to be more in line with the other ships in the NCL fleet. Because we actually realized at the time that we sailed out of Galveston, we could have done the exact same itinerary but coming out of New Orleans on the getaway for about $1,000 less per couple. Now, it doesn't have the go-karts and everything, so if the go-karts is that selling proposition, go to the Prima. But we didn't think that since we're not doing the go-karts and we didn't have kids, we didn't think that the Prima really had enough to justify paying the premium that you're paying to go on the Prima. However, as we said at the beginning, ours are just the opinions of 2 people on one cruise on one ship, so your experiences may vary, and we'd be interested in hearing your thoughts below in the comments, and we'd also be interested in showing you another cruise right here. So until then, keep on traveling.